what is the biggest takeaway for you from what Ron Hextall said on Monday afternoon?
Biggest takeaway might honestly be that he got one of those, that he got a, what am I trying to say?
Press
Media
conference?
availability, that he got a press conference.
Yeah.
The fact that there was all this talk in the first 48 hours after the season ended, that Fenway might not be super confident in Ron Hextall. Hey, they're having him quite literally write an essay about the future of the team. Hey, they're reviewing him. All this other stuff. Brian Burke might not make it out of the summer. All of this was happening. Hey, they need to still find a new CEO.
Yeah.
All right, maybe Hextall's out the door. Well, then a signing happens. Okay, maybe he's sticking around. He got a press conference. Yeah, he's sticking around. I think that was my biggest takeaway. Everything that was said was going to be said. Yeah. Okay, we got to talk about the Russ signing. Obviously, we want to keep Letang and Malkin around. Those things are going to be said. Just like in all the exit interviews with the players, it's, well, I'd like to stay here. Well, yeah, what are you going to say? Oh, yeah, I want to leave. What's Hextall going to say? Yeah, we're not trying to resign. I mean, I guess you could. I guess some GMs will say, like, we're not trying to re-sign certain guys. They're gone. Get used to it. Whereas in this one, we know the fan base. We know the media in this town. He's going to say, we're going to try and re-sign them. That is the top priority.
Yeah.
But then the real takeaways here, going after the Rangers? Good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
when he went after the Rangers about the hits, basically saying there was intent. Whether there was intent to injure, it's a different story, but there was certainly intent to do something there. Basically saying that he thinks that Trouba is going out there and headhunting. But
and I can talk about that later.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway from that was actually the Malkin Letang thing. You knew he was going to say it, but the amount of times that he went back to the well, they are our priority. They're our priority. They're our priority. Clearly, nothing else is getting done this offseason until we know the fate of those two players. That's what I think. We saw news early on with the Brian Russ signing. We saw the Taylor Fedun signing, making me excited. But we're not going to see anything else, really. And in my opinion, when you look at that, and when you look at the way that they're trying to sign them, and this might be old takes exposed in a month or two, they may only be able to return one other forward if they sign those two guys. You might have to pick from Kapanen, Rodriguez, Heinen, Raquel, and maybe Raquel won't even, there might not even be enough money for Raquel. You don't know what's going to happen, but the biggest takeaway for me is that is so much of the priority that we may not see something else get done beforehand. I might be wrong, but that's the feeling that I got whenever he kept going back to the well like that.
So one thing that's fun about Cap Friendly now, the dates have been updated. We have $23 million in cap space.
Thank God. I hated doing that math every time because I would keep forgetting. But $23 million.
Current cap space is at $23 million. 23 here. You want to make it even better? It's almost 24. It's 23,958. 158. We have damn near $24 million to work with here.
Yes.
Suddenly, not that it's, difficult. Suddenly, figuring out numbers for these guys becomes a lot easier. All right. Offer some numbers up, keep it under 24. Go.
Yeah, but there's also so many holes to fill, and that's a big thing. And for me, when you hear that there's $24 million in cap space, my immediate reaction is I'm going to say both of them average around 7 is probably what they come in at, which means you have $10 million to sign the rest of the team, basically.
You're right. And who does that include? Well, you're talking
backup
about
goalie.
Backup goalie you can get for league min. There's $1 million. Then
Unless they bring in Marc-Andre Fleury, which we'll talk about on Monday.
Bullshit. But then there's the Rickard Raquel discussion. There's Kapanen, Rodriguez, Heinen, Nathan Beaulieu. Well, yeah, okay.
Whatever.
It seems possible. It seems possible, but you got to have everyone on the same page.
Yep. And there's different things that can happen. Clearly, we already talked on Monday's episode about there might be a defenseman that gets traded, which is over $4 million off the cap. That helps a whole hell of a lot.
Suddenly it becomes 28.
But the big thing for me is when you talk about, hey, there's a lot of roster spots available that they don't have people signed in right now. They're only going to be able to sign maybe one of these forwards that were here last season. He also talked about the importance of youth next season. The importance of not rushing youth players up to the NHL level and waiting until they are actually ready instead of forcing them up and forcing them to be ready, which is an explanation basically as to why we didn't see most of them this season. Or if we did, we saw them like in one game, like Valtteri Puustinen. So guys like Puustinen, Kasper Bjorkqvist, Sam Poulin, mentioned by name, and P.O. Joseph. That's something else that I took away from it. I wrote a dang story about it, but that's something else that I took away from that press conference is that we will be seeing a youth movement coming next season.
Thank you. 2 years late, but thank you. Finally.